What's up everyone, Darcblade returning with another Mass Effect 3 multiplayer class guide, and today we are going to be taking a look at another Reckoning DLC character, the Talon Mercenary Engineer. On paper this character looks very interesting thanks to his weapon, the Omnibow, but a lot of people at the time of making this video are having difficulties with him thanks to the fact that they feel he's underpowered. But after spending some time with this class, I feel that if you focus on the Cain Tripmine instead of the bow abilities, then you can actually do some pretty nice damage with this class. Now, as with all my characters in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, I spec them for the harder difficulties in the game. With Cain Tripmine, I put maximum points into this, putting points into damage over radius, simply because I want these to be doing as much damage as they possibly can. I put points into armor damage over grenade capacity, simply because I have the grenade capacity equipment at level 5, so I shouldn't really need any more grenades. Lastly, I put points into damage over radius because, again, like I said, I want these doing as much damage as they can. I put maximum points into Concussive Arrows. I put points into grenade capacity, as these will count for the Cain Tripmines. I put points into Chill because this is a great debuffing move and it allows you to use the Concussive Arrows for a purpose, to make enemies take more damage. You could potentially put points into Shock as well if you would prefer your arrows to set up tech combos. With points in Shock, it allows you to set up the Tech Burst combo. And lastly, I put points into grenade capacity over damage and force, as again these will count towards the Cain Tripmines. I put 3 points into armor piercing arrows, but to be honest I would probably change this and completely miss out this tree. They do have a nice armor damage debuff, but apart from that it's not really worth investing the points in this ability. As for the passive, I feel these are down to personal preference like always. I put points into increasing the power damage and reducing my weapon weight. I also put maximum points to increase my health and shields. As for weapons, to be honest, because the Talon Mercenary doesn't really rely on a quick recharge timer, you can equip him with any weapon you want. I personally went with a nice assault rifle and a shotgun. Now before I get into the episode, I want to say that there is questions about this guy being underpowered, so things might change in the future if you're watching this video a few months from now. Anyway, let's get into the heart of the episode and talk about the Talon Mercenary's moves and abilities. His first move, and the move that makes him a viable character in my opinion, is the Cain Tripmine. The Talon Mercenary will fire a mine at any surface. This mine will stick to the surface and project a beam. Any enemy who crosses this beam will trigger the mine. The Cain Tripmine does a fair amount of damage, probably enough to kill most enemies in a single mine. Of course, boss characters will normally take a few more mines, and playing on different difficulties could change this too. But it is a very strong ability. Add to this, it does have a substantial blast radius, so there is a chance that you can get multiple kills just with a single mine. Now, unlike other mine abilities in the game, the Cain Tripmine relies on grenade capacity. So every time you fire a Cain Tripmine, then you're going to be using up one grenade. So it's well worth trying to increase your grenade capacity, either through talents or through equipment. Now, for all the damage these mines can do, there is a little bit of a downside, and that is they are sometimes hard to use. There is a little bit of a learning curve. Basically, like all mines in the game, you need to know where to put them in order for them to do their maximum damage. With the Cain Tripmines, I feel that the best place to place the mines are in small corridors or bottleneck, choke neck positions. You can either place the mines on the walls or on the floors or on fences, but areas where there's going to be a lot of enemy traffic passing through. This is probably the best tactic used against the foot soldiers. When it comes to the boss characters, such as Atlases and Brutes and Banshees, then try to use the tactic of placing the mines at the boss's feet. You can pretty much spam the mines as long as you've got enough grenades at the enemy's feet and try to get them all to explode. This can do a hell of a lot of damage. But there is a danger that you might overshoot the boss, or the boss might pass over it too quickly before it's actually set up, in which case you would have wasted the trip mine. One thing you should be aware of with the Cain Tripmines is that you can only have 3 active at any one time. So unfortunately, you can't cover the map in Cain Tripmines. I personally like to save my mines until I know the general area in which the enemy are spawning on each wave. Now, the second move and ability available to the Talon Mercenary is Concussive Arrows. Concussive Arrows consumes a grenade and spawns 3 Concussive Arrows on the Talon Mercenary's right shoulder. These can be then shot from the Talon Mercenary's Omnibow. Concussive arrows are highly effective against barriers, but they have an added bonus as in they can take down unarmored opponents quite easily, knocking them to the floor. The actual damage from the concussive arrows unfortunately is not the highest, but they have a different purpose for me. In the build I'm using, they are used primarily as a debuffer. This is thanks to the chill talent in the concussive arrow talent tree. This allows me to debuff enemies, making them take more damage. With chill, you can basically increase all damage sources against an opponent by up to 15%. If you preferred, you could drop the chill effect in favour of the shock effect, so you could set up tech combos, but for the most part, I feel that the chill effect is far much more useful to you and your team. Basically, with the concussive arrows, I know that if an enemy, especially a boss enemy, is going to be going into a huge amount of Tripmines, then you need to hit him with a concussive arrow before he actually gets there, so he's going to be taking maximum damage. Now, as for the armor piercing arrows, these are fairly similar to the concussive arrows, except they do slightly more damage and are more focused at taking down armored opponents. They still consume a grenade to use and will be fired again from your omnibow's melee attack. Unfortunately, unlike the concussive arrows, they only spawn 2 armor piercing arrows on your right shoulder. These arrows will also appear yellow rather than white. Now, like I said at the start of the video, I haven't put many points into armor piercing arrows, as I simply feel that the concussive arrows and Cain Tripmine are sufficient enough to do well with this character. There is a nice armor reducing debuff in the armor piercing arrow tree, but this is only if you invest a lot of points into the armor piercing arrows, and to be honest, I didn't really feel it was worth it. If you did want to take it though, remember to use this against armored opponents rather than maybe using the concussive arrows. Regardless about which arrow type you go for, at the end of the day, both of these arrow powers just simply enhance the Talon Mercenary's melee capabilities. One thing you should note about both arrow power types is that these are classed as power damage, but they will stack with the omnibow damage enhancements which you get through melee enhancements. Now, on the whole, I can say I'm a little bit disappointed with how the omnibow works for the Talon Mercenary. In its current state, it really does feel a little bit underpowered, especially when you compare it to the build that relies on the Cain Tripmines. As for the passive abilities, I feel these are down to personal preference. In Elite Mercenary, I put points mainly into power damage to try to get the most out of the Cain Tripmines. As for Omnibow Mastery, I focused my points into increasing my health and shields. As for weaponry for the class, like I said, this guy doesn't rely on power cooldown timers at all, so you can equip him with any weapon you feel fit. Now, as a race, the Talon Mercenary Engineer is a human, and as thus, he has a human-sized health and shield bar. He has the same dodge mechanics too, but he has one big difference, and that is his melee, which is the Omnibow. Instead of punching them with his Omni Blade, he will actually draw his Omnibow and fire an arrow at opponents. The longer you hold down the melee button, the more accurate his shot will become. The Omnibow also comes with a small lock-on feature, so the aiming will be automatically done for you. This is, of course, as long as you're sort of like aiming in the general direction of an opponent. As Omnibow attacks are melee, they can be enhanced through melee enhancements. One good thing about the Omnibow attacks is they can easily stagger opponents, giving you time to breathe. The Talon Mercenary can also respawn his own grenades without having to go to an ammo box, but this takes such a long time that it's probably just better to go to the ammo box. There is talks of an Omnibow build that makes great use of the various arrow types, but unfortunately at the moment I feel that the Cain Tripmine build is superior. The only downside about the Cain Tripmine build is that it relies on anticipating where the enemy is going to be beforehand and level layout. However, with some practice, you'll easily be able to locate the enemy, set up the traps, debuff the enemies with your concussive shots, and then do maximum damage. And I hope you will enjoy the class as much as I do. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my guide to the Talon Mercenary Engineer on Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like for more.